Howdy, y'all. Welcome to Western Wednesday, right here on the Real Pastors YouTube channel. Wherever you are, whoever you are, thank you for joining me today as we journey through yet another Western cinematic journey. Today, got something special in store for us all. I'll be talking about one of my favorites. But before we get to that, I want to give you a heads up. First off, if you're watching and you would like, please go ahead and subscribe. Hit the alert button so you can see all the things we're doing here on the Real Pastors channel. I am pleased to announce that we have hit the 50 subscriber mark. 50. Big time. Celebrate. Good times. Come on. So happy to do that. Thank you all for being subscribers and continue to be a part of this with us. We're having fun here on this channel. So as we begin, we saddle up and talk about yet another Western movie today. I want to let you all know something. I've been up since 3 a.m. You heard me right. 3 a.m. in the morning. It was still dark outside, as my daughter likes to tell me when I wake her up too early. So last night, I ate a little bit too many chicken wings. It was buy one, get one free at Buffalo Wild Wings. And long story short, ate way too many wings. I don't regret anything. I did what I had to do. I did what had to be done. I saw wings in front of me and I took care of them. But that being said, I woke up at 3 a.m. with some insane heartburn. Insane heartburn. So I could not go back to sleep. Toss and turn until about 4. And so around 4 o'clock, I went downstairs, made me a cold drink, non-alcoholic, of course. It was a Sprite Zero, in case you're wondering. I don't know why that matters. Anyway, and I sat on my couch at 4 a.m. and I watched the movie we're going to talk about today. But don't worry, I am awake. I am alert somewhat and ready to go through this journey with you today. Today's movie is 3:10 to Yuma. I'm going to pull it up here. Check this out. 3:10 to Yuma. Right there. Starring Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. We'll talk about them here in a second. But this is a movie I do own in my Blu-ray collection. One of the first Blu-rays I ever owned, actually. I got a Blu-ray player for my wife back in the day. I went to the store and saw this and added it to the collection because this is one I really enjoy. So some information on this movie, 3:10 to Yuma. This movie hit theaters September 7th, 2007. Doesn't seem like it was that long ago, but it was. I was a senior in high school when this movie came out. I am now 30 years old. I'll give you some frame of reference, which explains the heartburn. I'm getting old. That and the massive amount of chicken wings. September 7th, 2007. It holds a 7.7 out of 10 on IMDb. And an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and the audience scores for both are very high on this movie. But how many Hail Marys does it have? You have to wait to the end of this video to find out, partners. It had a budget of $55 million. Opening weekend, it brought in 14 million, just over 14 million. It grossed in USA domestically $53 million. Worldwide, it made $70 million. And I wanted to say that because I think that's part of the reason why we don't see many Westerns these days. Not many people are like you and I that want to saddle up and go on a Western cinematic journey. This movie domestically didn't make his budget back. Yeah, so that's kind of a bummer. But I did my part. I rented it and I bought it. So you're welcome, whoever made this movie. I think it was Lionsgate. I don't know. Um, so this movie's directed by one of my favorite directors working today. I've talked about him a little bit on this show already. James Mangold. He directed some of my favorite movies. Walk the Line. He directed that. I'm a huge Johnny Cash fan. That is a great movie. The Wolverine, not to be confused with Wolverine Origins. Very different movie. The Wolverine, not a bad Wolverine movie. He directed Logan, which is a movie I have a few problems with, but you know, very well directed movie. One of my favorite movies of the past year, Ford v Ferrari, which you've heard Efren talk about that. That was on his very high on his top movies of the decade, I believe. If I believe that right. And he is also directing Indiana Jones 5. So James Mangold, pretty great director. And this movie right here, add it to his list. So 310 to Yuma, like I said, like you can see in the poster there, stars Christian Bale and Russell Crowe. Two phenomenal actors, as you'll see here in a clip that I'm going to show here in a few moments. And these two guys just own the screen in whatever they do. Christian Bale was about to release The Dark Knight. Yes, right. The Dark Knight himself was in a Western. And yeah, so when I saw this come out, I was like, Batman and Russell Crowe in a Western, sign me up. And this also stars Ben Foster, who pretty much steals the movie. He is terrifying in this movie. Peter Fonda and Vanessa Shaw. Who is Vanessa Shaw, you might ask? Well, she is from Hocus Pocus, one of the movies from my childhood. She plays Allison in Hocus Pocus. When I was watching this morning, I was like, she looks really familiar. Who is that? And I looked it up and I was like, oh, Hocus Pocus. How about that? Vanessa Shaw. So my history with this movie. Oh, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Fun fact, this is a remake of a movie of the same name from 1957, which I'll admit I haven't seen. I'll probably check it out at some point. My history with this movie, it didn't really come on my radar when it came out. But I don't remember much about it when it hit theaters. And looking at the numbers, not many people did. Am I right? Sorry. But my brother and I, one of the last movie stores in our town was still there, not far from my dad's house. It's now a pawn shop, by the way. But you can find good movies at pawn shops. Just fun fact: if you're making a Blu-ray DVD collection, check pawn shops. That's where I got my copy of Inception on Blu-ray. Anyway, we went to this movie store and we were looking for a movie, and we saw this, and I was like, hey, let's get this. Me and my brother Scott rented it and watched it, and don't get too far ahead of myself, really enjoyed it. I was like, Batman in a Western? Yeah. So the story of this movie, basically, it's a simple story. A down on his luck rancher, played by Christian Bale. He's a family man. He's a Civil War vet. He's missing one of his legs. Is being run dry by the town, like literally. The town that he lives out of is Bixby. I don't know. I can't really announce it. Is running him and his family out of town because they are bringing a railroad right through their land. So they need them to go away. So they stop the water running to them. And because of the water, they can't feed their cows. They can't produce. They can't make money. They're behind on their payments. And so Christian Bale and his family, they're on really hard times, down on their luck. And the movie starts off with their barn being set on fire by one of the guys who works in the town. Really, really rough guys, really bad guys. And this outlaw, played by Russell Crowe, Ben Wade and his gang, they are notorious. He is the most well-known outlaw in this time, and it sets it up right from the get-go. He robs stagecoaches. He stagecoaches that are bringing money into towns from the bank. He robs them, and as we'll read here in a quote for a second, he is really good at it. And he's a pretty evil individual, Russell Crowe. And long story short, Christian Bale and Russell Crowe cross paths. They're trying to find their cows. Their cattle gets loose, and they come across Russell Crowe and his gang doing what they do, robbing a stagecoach. And so, just to kind of, I'm gonna read you this quote here. This is from the guy who owns the bank that he's robbing, the banker, no, the train company, excuse me. It's Mr. Butterfield. This is what he says after Russell Crowe gets captured. He says 22 robberies, over $400,000 in losses, more in delays. Southern Pacific will have Ben Wade convicted in a federal court, hanged in public, an example made, and we will pay to make that example. Ben Wade responds as he's being arrested. Y'all notice he didn't mention any of the lives I've taken. Pretty much saying all they care about is the money. They don't care about anything else I've done. Calling them out. So basically, throughout the movie, Russell Crowe's saying, "You guys are just as evil as me. You just handle it differently. You hide behind your jobs. You hide behind that." And he admits, "I'm a rotten individual," you know. And yeah, so Efren's Mr. Rosario here, Efren's dad says, "The Boston hat is back. I see." Yes, it is. I'm still upset with the Red Sox about a couple things, but I'm ready for baseball. You know. Yeah, so I've got my Red Sox hat back on. They are my unhealthy obsession, as my wife calls it. Um, so they're trying to get Russell Crowe to Yuma. They're on a train to Yuma. 310 to Yuma is the name, you know, because it's leaving at 310. And his gang is pursuing him to try to set him free. Okay. Um, so in Christian Bale, he says, "I will help. They need people that can shoot on this team to protect him from his gang." He says, "I will go, but I'm doing it for a price. I'm doing it because I want you guys off my back. I want you to leave me alone, leave my family alone, and I'll get my land back. I'll be sure Ben Wade gets to that train to Yuma and gets the justice that he deserves. But you're gonna pay for me to do this." So that's how Christian Bale gets wrapped up in it. So they're on a journey. There's Peter Fonda plays a Pinkerton, who is I believe was a detective and security. The train, the owner of the train company goes with him, and other guys trying to get him to this train. That is the main goal. That is the simple story of the movie. Notable quotes from this movie. Just stuff I like. Squeezing that watch won't stop time. Because there aren't a run for time here. Even bad men love their mamas. And Christian Bale talking to his wife before he leaves. This one, it just crushes me. "If I don't go, we gotta pack up and leave. Now I'm tired. I'm tired, Alice. I'm tired of watching my boys go hungry. I'm tired of the way they look at me. I'm tired of the way that you don't." That quote is what Christian Bale, Dan is his name, tells his wife. That's what he tells his wife before he leaves to go on this journey, to go take Ben Wade to the train. And as a husband, as a father, it crushes me. This is a broken man who cannot provide for his family right now. He is hurt. He is desperate, and he's telling his wife, "This is our only option." And that clip right there, that quote sets up his whole motivation, his whole character of why he's doing what he's doing. All right. So I want to take some time here and play a clip. Okay. Let's see. If you haven't seen this movie, don't worry. This isn't really a spoiler, but I want to play this clip here. This is when Ben Wade gets captured, and this is a really great scene between him and Christian Bale. It would help if I hit play, right?
Hollander!
Russell Crowe was upstairs. Don't ask me what he was doing.
You look a little bent, Rancher. You come to wake some snakes?
Dan, would you like a drink?
No, thanks. You got your horses back, didn't you? And your cattle?
Yeah, I got my horses back. But you killed 2 of my herd.
Hell, they died for a good cause. You know, them beeves of yours, they wouldn't even feed a hungry dog. I tell you what.
The screen presence of these two right here.
That should cover it. How much you get for a day's work?
$2. Want to hire out?
Well, there's $2 for half a day.
You took up my boy's time, too.
You're right. I did. Anything else you want to get paid for, Dan?
I like this quote here.
Give me $5 extra
And what's that for?
for making me nervous.
Hands up, Ben Wade.
I don't like that guy.
Hey, boss! Give me your hands, Mr. Wade.
Tucker, take his gun.
Give me that. Ben Wade. Captured in Bisbee.
Be careful with that thing. That gun's got a curse on it.
All right. Hold on. All right, and we're back. So yeah, I just want to play that clip. It's just such a cool scene right there between Russell Crowe and Christian Bale. You know, explaining pretty much everything that's about to happen. You know, I'll pull the poster back up just because that's like the poster. The poster's a lot cooler than my face. There we go. So yeah, I just love that scene there. You know, he's calling out. He's like, you wasted my time. You wasted my boy's time, and you're making me nervous. So I have a theory there. I think Russell Crowe, because keep in mind, if you haven't seen the movie, his gang has left. They're supposed to depart and break free and move on so they don't get caught. Russell Crowe stays behind, and it insinuates what he does when he stays behind, but I won't talk on that. Thankfully, it insinuates, doesn't show anything, or I wouldn't be talking about this movie. Am I right? See Monday's episode for more on that kind of stuff. But he stays back. I think he wants to get caught. I really do. I thought that this morning. I think he really wanted to get caught because I think he was bored. You know, he's just too good at what he does. And if you watch the movie, he's really good at being just an evil outlaw who just has no care in the world. You know. So let's move on. Let's start. Sorry about that. Let's start reviewing this movie. All right. So let's start with the good. All right, the good of this movie. You know what? If you haven't been to tell by now, there's a lot that's good with this movie. And the cast, Russell Crowe, Christian Bale. Need I say more? They're phenomenal in this movie. Ben Foster pretty much steals it though. He plays Russell Crowe's like right hand man, and he pretty much worships the ground Russell Crowe walks on. There's one point he says, "Easy, Rancher, that's Ben Wade you're talking to." You know, just so he is leading the charge to get Russell Crowe back. And the things he does, he's psychotic and he's pretty scary. The story, like I said, it's a simple story, but it's a captivating story. The action, this is not an action-packed movie. Okay, keep that in mind. It is a very dialogue-driven movie, as you just saw in that scene. But the action, when it does happen, is done really, really well. James Mangold directed it very well. And moving on, and the dialogue is really good in this movie too. There's really not much wasted dialogue. You know, there's a few things here and there, but yeah. So the cast, the story, the action, and the dialogue is really good in this movie. The bad, it can be a little slow at times. There is a couple of scenes that, for the most part, it flows really well, but there's a couple of scenes where it kind of comes to a halt. It's like, okay, let's move on a little bit. Like there's one scene where they come to like where they're I don't know if it's coal mining or they're like blowing. There's like a company that's making room for the railroad tracks, and when they get there, it just kind of comes to a screeching halt. You're like, okay, let's move on. Let's get to the town we're trying to get to. And the guy who plays Dan's oldest son kind of annoys me in this movie. He has a big role, a big important role, but I just find him kind of annoying. But we'll talk about him in a second. So the pastor, okay. how can we look at this movie? What can we take away from this movie and learn from it? And I think it is do what is right, no matter the cost. Christian Bale is challenged throughout this movie about why he's doing what he's doing. And it comes to times where he has to step up and do the really difficult things, but he has to do it because getting Russell Crowe where he needs to be is what is right. And we can take that away in life. Sometimes in life, there is times where we're going to have to step up and do things that we don't want to do, but maybe we don't have a choice, or we have to live for what is right above all. And also go the extra mile when no one else will. That is a lesson. There's a lot of characters in this movie that they're all talk, especially at the beginning when it's easy to arrest Russell Crowe when his gang's not there shooting at him. But once it gets tough, they kind of back on their morals a little bit, and all of a sudden, seeing Russell Crowe brought to justice doesn't seem that important, except for to one man, and that's Christian Bale. Um, so yeah, do what is right no matter the cost, and go the extra mile. That is what I'll take away from this movie. The dad. Okay, a couple of things to talk about here. Um, so fatherhood is a big um, uh, message in this movie, and it deals with Russell Crowe has two kids, and like I say, he's providing for his family. His oldest son pretty much looks up to Russell Crowe throughout the movie, but over time he realizes his dad is doing what is right. And it makes me think, how do your kids look at you? You know, they're seeing what you're doing. Are they going to respect how you're living your life? Are they going to, follow in your footsteps? Or do they look at you in a different way? I think that deals with a lot in this movie. Like Christian Bale struggles with how his kids look at him, and he has his inner struggle that his oldest son looks at this murderer in such high esteem more than he looks at him. And he's doing the best he can. What legacy are you leaving as a father, as a husband, as a man? Deals a lot with legacy in this movie. Um, the other side of this movie is rated R for violence and some language. Doesn't have that thick language like we talked about. Um, but yeah. So when it comes to my kids, it'll be a while before they watch this. Hopefully they don't take it out of the collection and put it in one day. But if they do, they won't be too traumatized to just see a lot of people like see the shot and there's some violence in this movie. But yeah, keep that in mind. I think I was in high school when I first saw it and turned out just fine. So all right, now let's get down to it. What do I rate this movie? You're all wondering, how many Hail Marys are you gonna give this thing? I've done some thinking and I'm ready. Drum roll, please. Oh, okay. No? All right. Boom. 310 to Yuma gets 4 Hail Marys. I love this movie. I love the story it's trying to tell. I love what the cast does. I love how it's directed. I love the message from it. As a father, I take a lot away from this movie. And yeah, I love it very much. And I am happy to have it right there in my collection next to other Westerns that I love. What's keeping me from going to 5 is the slowness at times. Some of the other characters annoy me, not in a good way. So those two things right there keep me from giving it a 5. But 4, if you have not seen this movie, I recommend it. Check it out. Keep in mind, it does have some language. It is pretty violent at times when it needs to be, and Russell Crowe and Ben Foster are some pretty rough individuals. At one point, Russell Crowe, he takes one guy. I don't want to spoil anything, but he says that line. He says, "Even bad men love their mamas." And he throws the guy off a cliff. So they're pretty ruthless. Ben Foster sets a stagecoach on fire with someone in it. So just keep in mind there. If you do check this movie out, it does have some violence, does have some language, but I don't think it's too much to cause any issues, in my opinion at least. But yeah, so I recommend this movie. It gets 4 Hail Marys from me. I have had a blast revisiting this movie and talking about it today. Thank you all for saddling up and joining me for yet another edition of Western Wednesday. 310 in Yuma gets 4 Hail Marys. Have a great rest of your week. Efren and I will be back here, right here on this channel Monday, so be sure to join us. And yeah, thank you guys for going on this journey with me. Goodbye. Y'all come back now. You hear?